Why your English doesn't improve even after years. You have been learning English for a long time. Not weeks, not months, years. You remember the beginning. You were excited. You watched videos. You learned new words every day. You felt progress. But now, something feels different. You still learn, you still listen, you still understand, yet your English does not feel better. You don't feel confident. You don't feel free. You don't feel natural. You feel stuck. And the strange part is, no one can see it. From the outside, you look fine. You understand conversations, you follow movies, you read articles. People think, your English is good. Sometimes they even say it. But inside, you know the truth. When it is time to speak, your heart becomes heavy. You think too much. You prepare sentences in your head. You correct yourself before you even speak. And often, you choose silence. Not because you don't know English, but because you don't trust it. This kind of problem is very quiet. It doesn't look like failure. It doesn't look like weakness. It feels like waiting. Waiting to feel ready. Waiting to feel confident. Waiting for the moment when English finally feels natural. But that moment never comes. So you keep learning. More words, more videos, more tips. And still, nothing changes. I know this feeling because I lived it. For years, English was part of my daily life. I listened to English every day. I understood almost everything. I could explain grammar rules. I knew the meaning of difficult words. I could even help other people sometimes. But when I needed to speak, my mind went quiet. In meetings, I sat there listening. I understood every sentence, every idea. I knew what I wanted to say, but my mouth stayed closed. I waited for the perfect sentence. I waited for the perfect word. I waited too long, and the moment passed. Someone else spoke. The meeting moved on, and I said nothing. People thought I was calm, polite, quiet. But inside, I felt small. After some time, I stopped trying. Not completely, but slowly. I avoided speaking. I avoided phone calls. I avoided situations where English was needed. I told myself excuses. I'll speak when I'm better. I just need more practice. I'm not ready yet. But years passed, and I was still not ready. This is the part no one explains to English learners. You can study for a long time and still feel uncomfortable. You can improve your understanding and still feel afraid to speak. Because English improvement is not only about knowledge, it is also about feeling safe. Feeling safe to make mistakes. Feeling safe to pause. Feeling safe to sound imperfect. I did not feel safe. So even though my English improved, my confidence slowly disappeared. And that is how many learners get stuck. Not because they are weak, not because they are lazy, but because they are silent for too long. If this sounds familiar, you are not alone. Many people are in the same place. They just don't talk about it. They think something is wrong with them, but there isn't. There is a reason this happens, a simple reason. And once you understand it, English starts to feel different. Not louder, not faster, but calmer. Segment 2. Awareness, the real reason. For a long time, I believed one simple thing. I believed my English did not improve because it was not good enough. I believed I needed more vocabulary, more grammar, more rules. So every time I felt uncomfortable speaking, I went back to studying. I watched more videos, I saved more words, I took more notes. And for a while, that made me feel safe. Because studying feels like progress. But one day, I noticed something strange. My English knowledge was growing, but my confidence was shrinking. I knew more than before, yet I spoke less than before. That was the moment I started asking a different question. Not, how can I learn more English? But, why don't I use the English I already know? This is the part many learners never realize. Your English may not be improving not because you are missing something, but because you are using English in the wrong way. Most of us learn English like collectors. We collect words, we collect rules, we collect tips. But we never practice trust. We never practice being uncomfortable. We never practice sounding imperfect. We wait. We wait until we feel ready. We wait until we feel confident. We wait until English feels perfect. But confidence does not come first. Confidence comes after use. Here is the truth that changed everything for me. English does not improve when you understand more. English improves when you feel safe enough to use it. And safety does not come from grammar. It comes from repetition, from familiarity, from hearing the same kind of English again and again. Think about your own language. You did not learn it by studying rules. You learned it by hearing it daily, by using it before it was perfect. You made mistakes. You paused. You repeated yourself. No one stopped you. That is why it worked. But with English, we do the opposite. We try to be correct before we're comfortable. We try to sound fluent before we feel safe. So every sentence feels heavy. Every word feels like a test. And tests create fear. Fear blocks use. And without use, nothing changes. I realized something important. My problem was not English. My problem was pressure. I was putting pressure on every sentence. Pressure to be correct. Pressure to be smooth. Pressure to sound smart. That pressure made me silent. And silence is the slowest way to improve a language. When I understood this, I stopped blaming myself. I stopped saying I'm bad at English. Instead, I said, I am learning English in a way that does not fit me. That small change changed everything. Because now the problem was not me. The problem was the method. Most English learners fail not because they are weak. They fail because they try to learn English the way schools teach it. Rules first, confidence later. But real language works the other way. Comfort first, confidence grows slowly. Then accuracy comes naturally. This is why your English may feel the same after years. You are learning more, but you are not feeling safer. You are understanding more, but you are not using more. You are preparing for a future moment that never arrives. And the longer you wait, the harder it feels to start. Once I saw this clearly, I stopped asking for motivation. I stopped searching for secret techniques. I started looking for calm. Calm ways to listen. Calm ways to repeat. Calm ways to exist in English without pressure. And slowly, something changed. Not my grammar, my relationship with English. If your English feels stuck, this may be your reason too. Not lack of ability, not lack of intelligence, just too much pressure and not enough safety. In the next part, I will share the one hidden mistake that keeps most learners stuck in this cycle, even when they work very hard. Segment 3. The hidden mistake learners make. After I understood that pressure was holding me back, I thought the problem was solved. I thought, okay, I just need to relax. But even after that realization, my English did not change immediately. Something was still missing. And it took me a long time to see it. The biggest mistake I made, and the mistake most English learners make, was very simple. I was always preparing to speak, preparing to sound good, preparing to avoid mistakes. But I was not living inside English. I was standing outside, watching it, studying it, waiting for the right moment. Most learners live like this. They say, I will speak when my sentence is ready. I will speak when my grammar is correct. I will speak when I feel confident. But that moment never comes because English is not something you prepare for. English is something you enter. Here is the hidden mistake. We treat English like an exam. Every sentence feels final. Every word feels important. Every pause feels like failure. So we slow down. We stop, we edit in our head, and English becomes heavy. Think about how children learn language. They do not prepare sentences. They do not wait to be correct. They speak first, they adjust later. Their language grows because it is alive. But adult learners do the opposite. We kill the flow before it even starts. I noticed this mistake in my own life. Whenever I wanted to say something in English, I first created the sentence in my head. I checked the grammar. I checked the tense. I checked the word order. By the time I was ready, the moment was gone. So I stayed quiet again. This habit looks smart. It looks careful. But it is dangerous because it teaches your brain one thing. English is risky. And when the brain feels risk, it chooses silence. Another part of this mistake is how we practice. Most learners practice English only when they are focused. They sit down, they open a notebook, they tell themselves, "Now I will practice English." This creates pressure because the brain feels this is serious. But real language does not grow only in serious moments. It grows in small, ordinary moments, while listening, while repeating softly, while thinking without fear. I was practicing English like a task, not like a habit. And tasks are easy to avoid. Habits are easy to continue. There was one more mistake hiding inside this one. I was always judging myself. After every conversation, I thought about what I said wrong. I remembered my pauses. I remembered my mistakes. I never remembered what I did right. So English always felt negative. And negative experiences never invite growth. Once I saw this clearly, I stopped preparing so much. I stopped correcting myself in my head. I allowed English to be slow, to be simple, to be imperfect. And something surprising happened. I started speaking more. Not better, just more. And that was enough. This is the truth many big channels don't say clearly. You don't need more English. You need more permission. Permission to speak badly. Permission to pause. Permission to be human in English. If you always prepare, English stays in your head. If you allow yourself to enter English, it slowly moves to your voice. In the next segment, I will explain why studying more often makes this problem worse and why effort alone does not lead to fluency. Segment 4. Why studying more doesn't help. When people feel stuck in English, they usually do one thing. They study more. More vocabulary lists, more grammar rules, more tips and tricks. It feels like the right answer because studying looks like effort, and effort feels productive. But this is where many learners go deeper into the problem. I did the same. Every time English felt uncomfortable, I opened a book. I watched another lesson. I tried to fix myself. And for a short time, it worked. I felt calm again. Not because my English improved, but because I avoided using it. This is the hard truth. Studying more often feels safe because it keeps you away from risk. There is no judgment when you study, no pressure, no silence. Just you and information. But English is not information. English is experience. Think about this carefully. You can study swimming for years. You can watch videos. You can learn every technique. But if you don't enter the water, nothing changes. And English is the same. The problem is not studying. The problem is studying instead of using. When studying becomes a hiding place, it slows everything down. I noticed something strange in myself. The more I studied, the more careful I became. The more rules I knew, the more mistakes I saw. And the more mistakes I saw, the less I wanted to speak. So studying made me quieter. This happens because rules make the brain alert. Alert means tense. Tense means slow. But language needs flow. Another reason studying more doesn't help is timing. Most learners study English far away from real situations. They learn words without context, sentences without emotion, rules without use. So when real life appears, a phone call, a meeting, a conversation. The brain cannot connect. It freezes. Not because you forgot English, but because you never practiced it in real time. I realized something important. My English knowledge lived in one place. My real-life English lived somewhere else. They were never meeting. This is why people say, "I know English, but I can't speak." It is not a mystery. Knowledge alone does not build ability. Ability comes from repeated exposure in calm conditions. Studying also creates another problem. It creates comparison. You see others speaking fast. You see perfect sentences. You see fluency online, and you compare yourself. Comparison creates pressure. Pressure creates silence, and silence keeps English locked inside. One day, I stopped studying for a while. Not forever, just less. I didn't add new rules. I didn't chase new words. Instead, I stayed with what I already knew. I listened. I repeated softly. I let English stay around me, without forcing. And something interesting happened. My English didn't improve suddenly, but it stopped feeling heavy. I felt calmer, and calm is where growth begins. This is something many learners don't hear. English does not grow faster when you push harder. It grows better when you reduce pressure. Studying more feels responsible, but sometimes it is avoidance. Avoidance of silence, avoidance of mistakes, avoidance of discomfort. But discomfort is not the enemy. Pressure is. If your English feels stuck after years, ask yourself one question. Am I studying to improve or studying to feel safe? The answer changes everything. In the next segment, I will share the turning point, the moment I changed how I approached English and finally felt movement again. Not fast, not perfect, but real. Segment 5. The Turning Point Story. The change did not happen suddenly. There was no big decision, no promise to work harder, no new method that changed everything overnight. The turning point came quietly. One evening, after another long day, I realized something simple. I was tired. Not tired of English, tired of trying. Tired of fixing myself, tired of feeling behind, tired of turning every sentence into a test. So I stopped. Not learning, just stopping the pressure. That night, I didn't open a book. I didn't watch a lesson. I didn't search for tips. I just listened. A short story, simple English, slow voice. I didn't repeat every word. I didn't write anything down. I just let English exist around me. At first, it felt strange. I felt guilty. It felt like I was doing nothing. But something inside me felt lighter. There was no goal, no result to measure, no fear of being wrong. Just sound. Just rhythm. I did the same thing the next day. And the next. Not for hours, just a little. 10 minutes, sometimes less. After a few weeks, I noticed something unexpected. English started coming to me without force. Simple phrases appeared in my mind, not perfect, but usable. I wasn't translating, I wasn't preparing, I was remembering. Then something small happened. In a meeting, someone asked a question. Normally, I would stay quiet, I would wait, I would disappear. But this time, a simple sentence came out. It wasn't perfect, it wasn't smooth, but it was enough. No one reacted badly, no one corrected me. The conversation moved on. And inside me, something shifted. That moment was not exciting, but it was important, because it showed me something true. English was never waiting for perfection, it was waiting for permission. I started giving myself permission. Permission to speak slowly, permission to pause, permission to use simple words. And slowly, I spoke more. Not confidently, just honestly. The biggest change was not in my English, it was in how I felt. I was no longer fighting English, I was letting it walk with me. I stopped asking, how can I improve faster? And started asking, how can I stay calm longer? That question changed everything. I still studied sometimes, but differently. I didn't chase new knowledge. I stayed close to what I already knew. I listened to the same kind of English again and again. Stories, real voices, natural pace. And without noticing, my English started changing. Not loudly, not dramatically, but steadily. I understood one important truth. English grows best when it feels safe, when there is no pressure to perform, when there is no fear of mistakes. Safety allows repetition. Repetition creates familiarity. Familiarity builds confidence. This turning point taught me something simple. I didn't need to become better first. I needed to become calmer first. If you feel stuck after years of learning English, this turning point may be waiting for you too. Not in a new method, not in more effort, but in letting go of pressure. In the next segment, I will explain the calm practice that helped me grow, a simple, peaceful way to stay close to English every day without forcing anything. Segment 6. Calm practice, listening first method. When I finally stopped pushing myself, I needed a new way to stay close to English. Not a system, not a schedule, just a calm practice. Something I could do every day without pressure. I chose listening. Not active listening, not studying, just listening. At first, this sounded too simple. How can listening improve my English? How will I speak if I only listen? I asked these questions too. But I decided to try, quietly. I picked one kind of English. Not fast, not perfect. Simple stories, real voices, natural pauses. The kind of English that feels human. Every day, I listened for a short time. Sometimes 10 minutes, sometimes less. I didn't stop the audio. I didn't repeat every sentence. I let it flow. At first, nothing happened. And that was good. No pressure, no expectation, just sound. After a few days, my brain started recognizing patterns. Not grammar rules, rhythm. How sentences begin, how they end, how ideas connect. I didn't force this. It happened naturally. I noticed something else too. Because I wasn't trying to speak, my fear slowly disappeared. There was no moment of performance, no risk, so my mind stayed open. This is something many learners miss. The brain learns language best when it feels relaxed, when there is no test. After some time, I added one small thing. I started soft repetition. Not speaking out loud, not perfect pronunciation, just whispering sometimes, repeating one simple sentence after the audio finished. No pressure. This did something important. It connected listening to voice, slowly, safely. I never said, I must speak today. I said, if a sentence comes, it comes. And sometimes it did. This calm practice changed my relationship with English. English was no longer a task. It became a background presence, something familiar. I listened while walking, while resting, while doing nothing. English stopped feeling separate from my life. This is why listening first works. It removes urgency. Urgency creates fear. Fear blocks language. Calm invites repetition. Repetition builds comfort. Comfort leads to confidence. Many learners fail because they start with speaking. Speaking is exposure. Exposure is risky, so the brain protects itself by staying silent. Listening first does the opposite. It tells the brain you are safe, and safety opens the door. After weeks of calm listening, I noticed something beautiful. My thoughts started forming in English. Simple thoughts, natural phrases. Not perfect, but real. I didn't force this. I didn't plan it. It happened because English felt close. This practice did not make me fluent overnight, but it did something better. It made English available. When I needed it, it was there. If your English feels stuck after years, this is where I suggest you start. Not with more rules, not with more pressure, with calm listening. Every day, a little. You don't need motivation. You need a practice that feels easy enough to continue. In the next segment, I will share the daily peaceful habit that helped me stay consistent, even on busy days, even when I felt tired. Segment 7. Daily Peaceful Habit. After listening became part of my life, I faced a new problem: consistency. Some days were easy. I had time. I felt calm. But other days were busy, or tiring, or noisy. On those days, English was the first thing to disappear. And I understood something important. A method is useless if it depends on motivation. So I needed a habit that could survive bad days. That is when I created a rule for myself. A very small rule. I called it my peaceful habit. The rule was simple. Every day, I would stay close to English for a few minutes. Not 30, not even 10, just a few. Sometimes it was 5 minutes, sometimes 3. On very bad days, it was 1 minute, but I never skipped completely. This habit worked because it felt safe. There was no pressure to do enough, no guilt, just presence. I chose one specific time, not a perfect time, a realistic one. For me, it was the quiet moment before sleeping. I listened to a short story, the same kind of calm English. Sometimes the same story again. Repetition stopped feeling boring. It started feeling familiar. And familiarity is powerful. I didn't ask myself, did I improve today? I asked, did I show up today? That one question changed everything. Another important part of this habit was not judging the day. Some days I understood everything. Some days I felt lost. I treated both the same. No reaction, no emotion, just listening. This removed pressure from progress, because progress is not daily, it is invisible. I also stopped mixing too many sources. No jumping from one accent to another, no random videos. I stayed with one voice, one style. This helped my brain relax. When the brain relaxes, it starts recognizing patterns faster. Sometimes while listening, I paused the audio. Not to study, just to let a sentence sink in. If I felt like repeating it softly, I did. If not, I moved on. This habit taught me something important. English does not need effort every day. It needs contact. Many learners fail because they try to do too much. They create big plans, big schedules, big expectations, and when they fail once, they quit. My habit was too small to fail. Even on the worst day, I could do it. And because I could always do it, I kept going. Weeks passed, then months, and one day I realized something quietly. English felt closer. Not exciting, not scary, just familiar. I started noticing English in my thoughts. Not full sentences, small pieces, but they came without effort. That is when I understood the real power of habits. They work quietly. They don't announce results. They change you slowly. This peaceful habit did not turn me into a fluent speaker, but it did something more important. It removed fear from my daily relationship with English. Once fear was gone, everything else became easier. Listening felt deeper. Speaking felt lighter. If you want your English to improve after years, this habit matters more than any technique. A small daily connection. No pressure, no judgment, just presence. In the next segment, I will talk about something emotional, how confidence slowly returns, and why it does not come from success, but from familiarity. Segment 8. Emotional reinforcement. When confidence returns. Confidence did not return the way I expected. There was no moment when I suddenly felt brave, no day when fear completely disappeared. Confidence came quietly, almost unnoticed. At first, I only felt less tension. When I heard English, my body stayed relaxed. My shoulders were not tight. My mind was not rushing. That alone felt new. Then I noticed something else. I stopped thinking about English all the time. Before, English was always a problem to solve, a mistake to avoid, a test to pass. Now, it was just there, like music in the background. This is how confidence really grows, not through success, but through familiarity. I started trusting English the same way you trust a road you walk every day. You don't think about every step, you just walk. One day, during a casual conversation, I spoke without planning. The sentence came out naturally. It wasn't impressive, it wasn't perfect, but it felt normal. And that feeling stayed with me. I realized something important. Confidence is not about speaking well. It is about not being afraid of speaking badly. For years, I believed confidence came from correctness. I thought, when my English is good enough, I will feel confident. But it works the other way. When you feel safe enough, your English improves naturally. This is why emotional experience matters. If English always feels stressful, your brain will resist it. If English feels familiar and safe, your brain will welcome it. I also stopped reacting emotionally to mistakes. Before, one mistake could ruin my day. Now, mistakes passed quickly. I noticed them, then I moved on. No drama. This change was small, but powerful, because mistakes stopped controlling me. Another thing changed too. I stopped comparing myself. I stopped measuring my English against others, because comparison creates urgency. Urgency creates pressure, and pressure kills calm. Instead, I measured something else: comfort. Was English more comfortable today than last month? Usually, the answer was yes. That was enough. Confidence did not make me speak faster. It made me pause without fear. Confidence did not make my sentences perfect. It made my silence peaceful. This is something many learners don't understand. You don't need confidence to speak. You need familiarity to feel calm. Confidence is the result. As familiarity grew, I noticed English appearing in my daily life. Small thoughts, short reactions, simple answers. They came without effort. And when effort disappears, fear disappears too. If your English still feels stuck after years, ask yourself this: does English feel familiar, or does it still feel like a test? That question is more important than grammar or vocabulary, because tests end, familiarity stays. This emotional shift is what prepares you for real progress. Not fast progress, but lasting progress. In the final segment, I will bring everything together. Not with motivation, not with promises, but with a calm reminder of where you are and where you are going. Segment 9. Peaceful Ending. If you have stayed with this story until now, there is one thing I want you to know. You are not behind. You were never behind. You may feel late. You may feel slow. You may feel like others are moving faster. But English is not a race. It never was. For a long time, you believed something was wrong with you. That belief made everything heavier. Every pause felt like failure. Every mistake felt permanent. But now, you can see the truth. Your English did not stop improving because you were weak. It stopped feeling alive because it was under too much pressure. Pressure does not build language. Safety does. You don't need a new personality. You don't need confidence first. You don't need perfect pronunciation. You need calm contact. A little English, every day, without fear. Think about how far you have already come. There was a time when English felt completely foreign. Now you understand stories. You follow ideas. You feel meaning. That is not nothing. That is progress. The problem was never your ability. It was the way English was living in your life. As a test, as a task, as something to fix. Now you know another way. A quieter way. English as presence. English as familiarity. English as something that walks beside you. You don't need to speak more tomorrow. You don't need to push yourself. Just stay close. Listen calmly. Repeat softly if you want. Let English stay around you. Progress will not announce itself. It will show up quietly. One day, you will answer without thinking. One day, you will pause without fear. One day, English will feel normal. And you may not even notice when it happens. That is how real change works. If your English hasn't improved after years, it doesn't mean you failed. It means you were learning in a way that didn't fit you. Now you have another option. You don't need to restart. You don't need to begin again. You are already on the path. You just changed how you walk on it. If you want to continue this way, calmly, peacefully, without pressure, you are not alone. This channel exists for people like you. People who want to learn English without fear. People who want to grow slowly, but honestly. You don't have to do anything right now. Just stay. Listen to another story when you feel ready. English does not need urgency. It needs patience. And patience is something you already have. Subscribe now, join the Peaceful English Stories, and let's start your English learning journey together.